Why motivation isn't all it's cracked up to be. So from my first video, obviously I had a plethora of potential subjects I could have spoken about. So what I've decided to speak about today is motivation. And I am the first to admit that my motivation to, let's say, train, for example, is generally pretty low. I am not a gym bunny. I don't thoroughly enjoy going to the gym. I find it boring. I find it's just more of a means to an end. I understand the benefit. I like finishing a workout because I feel good and you get a little of a pump on, but I'm generally dragging myself kicking and screaming towards a gym. Um, but hey, that's just a little peek behind the curtain. Anyway, motivation. So I speak to a lot of potential clients as well as actual clients. I was going to say real people then. I don't. Yeah. Anyway, I maybe should edit this. I'm not going to, but maybe I should. But when I speak to people, most people suffer with motivation, and I think motivation is sort of multifaceted. Big word. Or nuanced. There is so many different things you can attach motivation to. So when I speak to, let's say, a potential client, we're on a call, we're discussing about their goals, their hopes, their wishes, their dreams, whatever, and then I'm discussing what I can do, what service I can offer, etc. They often say that one of their barriers is motivation. And I would argue that actually the fact that they're sat on a call with me is a sign that there is motivation. There is motivation to want to make change. There is motivation to do what is required to get them to where they need to be. It's just more often a lack of understanding, a lack of education sometimes, not knowing where to start. So the motivation's there. But then if you actually look specifically and dig a little bit deeper as to what the motivation barrier is, it's often just the motivation to train or the motivation to sometimes do meal prepping. And the motivation is naturally going to wane at 6 o'clock at night. Like I can't be, like nothing's happening at 6 o'clock at night for me, unless I've stupidly arranged to have a game of squash, which we all know is a big passion of mine. But if you've just done a full day's work and then you've got kids and you've done food and you've made sure they're showered and bathed or they've had their tea or homework's on the way or whatever it is that you're trying to sort of spin on the many plates that we have to spin as adults and parents, the motivation to then go and do a training session is naturally going to be very fucking low. Now, there's some ways you can counteract that if we're speaking specifically about training. First thing you can do is don't set yourself up to fail by having an hour-long session planned, because an hour-long session post 6 p.m. is just not going to happen, is it? It's going to take a lot to drag yourself kicking and screaming anywhere to get a session done that late. So maybe have a look at breaking that training session down into something a bit more achievable. Something like a 20-minute workout is 100 times better than the workout you don't do. So something is always better than nothing. But sometimes I'll just go into my garage and I'll just have every intention of just doing a bicep exercise, for example. And next thing you know, I've actually been in there for over an hour and I've started training, because you get the sort of the buzz going. But if I was sat on my couch and it's cold and dark and it's past 6 o'clock and I knew and I looked through my app, my training schedule, and every single one of my sessions was over an hour, I wouldn't get it done. So breaking down the expectations into something a bit shorter, a bit simpler, a bit quicker can mean that you can still get it done, and then that negates the motivational element of it. And when it comes to the food side, just sometimes it's just a case of just get it done. Like my motivation to make good food choices 7 days a week is low. But on the motivational day, generally a Sunday, I'm quite happy to meal prep for at least 3 days in advance. So I'll go and do my weekly shop. I'll come back whilst I've put everything away. And then whilst I'm up and out and doing that, I will then make a quick curry or make a quick bolognese or make a quick whatever it is and then tub it up. And that's it done. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays, I don't need any motivation to eat well. It's already done. Like I've done the hard work. So again, I negate the need for that motivation. I understand where and how I struggle. So I then decide and choose to make my life as easy as possible by planning and prepping and structuring and making sure that my expectations aren't too high. I did a post many years ago. It was my first ever live through Instagram. And actually, one of the bits of advice there that I gave, I still stand by today, which is get yourself like a new training top, a new pair of trainers, um, try a new workout supplement, whatever it is. Sometimes just that is enough to motivate you to either drag your ass to the gym or out in the garage or whatever, but just having something on. And especially if you're in like a fat loss phase, and most of my clients, it's all about the fat loss until we start reverse dieting out the other way. And then it's about the maintenance and perhaps adding a little bit of muscle mass in there as well. So it's quite a long process, but most people will go through that fat loss phase. But it may be that you've dropped a dress size or you've dropped a jean size or whatever, and you can now buy yourself something in this smaller size, and that's going to make you feel awesome about yourself. But then you also have that sort of increase in confidence, and you want to show it off a bit. You want to show off this new physique you've got, or this new figure you've got, or this new confidence that you've now managed to get. So having something like that can be a way of motivating yourself to do something, is by sort of buying something that you want to then show off, you want to use, whatever it may be. But motivation is something that will always be an issue for all of my clients, and I'll own this, will always be an issue for me. And I'm not saying that by any stretch I'm perfect and that I am always motivated to do everything week in, week out, because clearly I'm not. Like, it took me quite a bit just to be motivated enough to do this bloody video for the 27 subscribers I've got. But I don't do it for subscribers. I do it so that the people that do watch hopefully glean some kind of information from it, some advice, some guidance, or just some relatability from having a coach like me who's just a bit more honest and a bit more upfront about the same struggles that most of my clients I have. So who better to kind of work through those issues with than someone that also works through those issues? Does that make sense? That was a bit of a waffle. So yes, I will go and can go days, weeks, sometimes months with very low motivation, because life just has a tendency of getting in the way, and my mindset switches off a bit, and I don't feel myself right, and my sleep's troubled, or whatever it is. So you've really got to dig low, dig deep. Don't dig low, dig deep sometimes. But take away from this that you're not alone. You're not the only one that suffers with motivation, but there are things you can do to give you the best chance, the best opportunity to do what you need to do to get you to where you want to be, because you're motivated enough to keep starting. Because we all keep bloody starting, but trying to keep that motivation to just remain can be really difficult. So don't set yourself up to fail by having exercise sessions that are either too long or too frequent. Don't set yourself up to fail by having to make informed choices every single day with your food. If you can batch cook or pre-prepare stuff, or even just simply have a meal plan to hold yourself accountable to, that's going to make you make better choices through the week without the need for motivation or discipline, because it's done. You've already done the hard work. And if you can set your week up each week in that kind of format, you have the best chance of being able to stay true on your course.